Jekyll here from Hyde&Jekyll. Gonna go over a Mythic tutorial on how to complete the Blinding Veil. This one, I would say, so far is a little bit on the tougher side. It's a lot of AoE cleaving, so make sure you have a very good AoE build on this. Also with some single target that will be needed. We'll go over the trash here. The trash, for the most part, is pretty easy. In the beginning here, right off the rip, you want to make sure that the late forge lashers, that they are getting some or silenced. As you can see right there, we forgot to silence that one. They pop a big shield, and you have to destroy that shield ASAP because it does an AoE to everybody, and it also heals the group of AI. So it's a real brutal miss if you miss the that silence there. So make sure that you guys definitely want to focus on silencing these light forge lashers. As you go through the dungeon, you'll come up across these little bit bigger guys called the Grove Keepers. I don't recommend pulling them with a whole bunch of ads, because they definitely hurt. They can damage pretty strong. They put down a massive AoE pool on the ground that just does ticking damage, and it hurts really bad. You do not want to get hit by that. So yeah, it's brutal, and it's kind of hard to see when you have a bunch of ads there. So make sure that you're getting those at least notified or noticed. As you see right there, it drops another one. Like I said, other than that, they're really not too bad. They're pretty easy. They just have a shit ton of health. We can speed up here. That's going to be pretty much the whole way up until your first boss here. You'll have these belchers. The belchers, they don't really do anything except for an AoE blast in front. Just make sure you're not targeting it towards a group, or the group moves from it when he does do it. And the trash, for the most part, then from here on, is going to be just rinse and repeat the whole way up until we get to the first boss. Now the first boss is the trio. They are a little rougher compared to heroic or normal. So the big difference here is going to be where you got to really be paying attention and kind of position yourself if you are the DPS. So you're gonna have Keskit, who spawns out these flowers. And also you really want to focus on Keskit to see when they're doing the solar beam. Beam is gonna come out after the spores are done. You'll see that she'll spawn 3 like petals on the ground. One, you don't want to stand in those because those do a lot of damage to you if you're standing in it. But you need your 3 DPS to stand in front of it, as you'll see here. She calls a solar beam. The solar beam needs to be blocked by your 3 DPS, or the healer do their own thing. Unless you do have melee. If you have a very heavy melee, then the healer can go and stand in front of it. That way you can still keep having DPS. Also, when they do spawn the 3 spores here, the I believe it's Lekshi is the rogue, I believe, will do a blast here where they will actually teleport in between. Leshki does a AoE blast, and you don't want to stand in that, obviously. It's like a big fan of knives, and then she teleports between the 3 petals that are on the ground. Other than that, it's pretty much you want to make sure that you're blocking. You can silence the light bolt as well that Keskit spawns. But other than that, it's really not too bad. This fight is pretty much straightforward once you realize the techniques here. So it's pretty much make sure you have Keskit kind of maybe targeted, or have it like as a target, so that way you can see when they are casting the light blossom beam, because you gotta block that, just like we did right there. You block that. They all share the same health pool, so it doesn't matter which one you're DPSing. Obviously the tank wants to try and hold all the DPS. You don't want one of these guys going out and hitting a DPS early on, because you're not really that geared. I mean, we were very low geared for this, so it took it was a little rough, but we got through it. It's really going to be just focusing on the mechanics in the beginning here.
Good job.
So, fast forward to the next boss here, because the trash here will pretty much be the same pool. Now, this boss is a little bit of an asshole. So now we got old Ikuz or Ikiz, whatever his name is. This fight, the easiest way to do this is have everybody stack on the tank. You need everybody to stack. You literally do not move away from the tank. So this really comes down to having a good tank that can maneuver properly, because he's going to do a smash or a stomp. All right. When he does a stomp, you need to be positioned so that way you're not going to get, everybody's going to get blown back into a root. When you do get blown back into the root, it is not, it is all bad. Because you're going to get stunned, and it does AoE damage to you or ticking damage to you. That, like I said early on, when you're not really super geared, it's probably going to end up wiping you. So you really want to make sure that you are having everybody stack properly. All right, so here would be the full run here of how we actually complete it. So you'll see, make sure everybody stacks. So everybody's going to stack right here. Yep, he does the stomp. After the stomp, everybody gets the root. So make sure you guys are all stacked together so you can cleave these down. This is where this is a big cleaving dungeon here. So you get those roots and then immediately position, because you're going to have just enough time to get out of there. So you can position yourself as you see right here, because he sends out these roots. And you want to make sure that you're not getting stuck in those roots. Hopefully you have somebody that can kind of dispel magic, but it's not going to be able to do the whole group. So here's a knockback. As you see, we're perfect. Everybody's good. And then when somebody does get the gaze, they have to run through the entire routes. They got to kind of clear your path. So when the gaze comes up here, you'll see like Busy gets the gaze, and he's going to run. When Ikiz runs through, he actually destroys the roots on the ground. So that is what you really want to focus on. The roots get destroyed, and then you reset. Then you got to be quick to get back to a smash here or a stomp, and then stack, and then the roots get cleaved, and then you just rinse and repeat. Now, this gets a little sketchy right here. We did lose some. But yeah, overall, it's just pretty much stacking those mechanics and rinse and repeating those mechanics. It's very coordinated of a fight, very high DPS that you really want to be pushing out here, for AoE damage. So that way you can get out of those roots easier. But yeah, the roots are definitely going to be probably the biggest struggle here early on, especially until everybody starts getting higher gear. Like I said, this was our first run, and it was a little rough. It was a little rough being a little under geared going into some Mythic Zeros, but at least we got to see the fights and understand them. So right here, yeah, we do just, you know, they end up dying, and I just pop a bunch of cooldowns and just end up finishing off the boss, and it is GG. So we go over to the next boss. After that, you'll take a little dragging over. You'll get landed down. These guys, once again, nothing too crazy here, as far as ads. You know, you do have the seed shot that the leafy grove crawlers do, spam. You can silence it, but that's really not really needed. The big one is the petal wings. The petal wings do a group-wide silence. It is a 3-second silence to the whole group if they get it off. So you do want to make sure that the petal wings on this side of the ads actually get silenced this time. Right before you get to this boss, you're going to see that you get these little dinosaurs called like leafy grove crawlers. When you kill them, you want to try and stack them when they die, because they drop a puddle on the ground or a big pool of bullshit on the ground that you do not want to stand in. And if you kind of have them all over the place before you pull the boss, you're gonna have probably a little bit of rough time of not having enough area to move around for this fight. And this boss is actually probably the easiest boss out of the entire thing here. Now this isn't really more of tanking. This is kind of DPS have to actually pay attention to what they're doing. So on Rua here, he's gonna have 3 phases. First phase, he's just gonna be in his regular like, I guess you would call it Moonkin form here. He's going to pretty much cast Starfire almost, it seems like. That's going to come from the ground. Everybody just has to dodge that. Then he will target 2 people as well, as you see, that cast tornadoes. Make sure you do not get hit by the tornadoes. And right there's the, like, Starcaller type effect right there. And that phase is easy. It's just dodge the dot or the things on the ground that he spawns, and then also DPS has to take the tornadoes to the side. Here is a little bit different. Here's phase 2. You got now the, like, feral form. So he will do a this is a big one because he's actually going to do a swipe in front. So melee actually have to be behind him. So tanks do have to tank him away. And then the other part is where you'll see people actually get targeted here. Okay. When they get targeted, they actually have to spread out because they can't take more than 1 debuff. As you see, they got the arrows coming right here. They got to spread out. So he's going to target 3 people, and he does an AoE hit on them. They got to spread that out because you do not want 2 stacks of that, especially early on. Like I said, once again, early on, you're going to get absolutely crushed with that debuff, and it'll 2 hits will kill you. Then you get to phase 3 here. Phase 3 is just kind of like a burn phase. Because phase 3, he does all of the abilities. So he does the AoE sweep, he does the frontal sweep, he does the light fall, which you have to dodge, and then he also does the tornadoes. So yeah, you really have to just be paying attention on this, and make sure that he's not, you're not getting hit by those abilities. But yeah, you just split them up. But honestly, this is probably the easiest fight. This just comes down to a coordination fight between DPS and kind of healers. Tanking wise, this one's kind of probably the easiest one to tank. Now we'll get to probably the worst one out of the entire dungeon, because it literally is like a DPS check. It is going to 100% be a DPS check on this next boss. This guy is kind of I recommend pulling him solo and just DPSing him down. So he's going to do like this tongue lick, because it looks like Pookie from Monster Hunter. He does like this tongue lick that fucking throws you insanely far. And as you will see, I'm just going to let this run here the first time. We actually die because he actually throws us because we forgot about it. And he throws us very bad. Okay, so I'm going to explain this, and then I'll show you the run that we actually complete it. Because we die a lot on this one. This one is a massive DPS check, tank positioning, and also healing. Like, it is like this really checks to see if your group is ready. This fight is so far out of all that we did 4 mythics yesterday, and out of all the mythics, I think this was the hardest fight that we honestly did out of all of them. Now, granted, could have been that we were just at the time the most undergeared compared to any of the other mythics that we did, but this one is brutal. What's going to happen here is he will spawn his initial phase. He's going to spawn these adds that the tank has to group up, and they need absolutely destroyed. And I recommend tanking them on the outside here, because what's going to happen is then once those adds die, he's going to do a solar beam. The solar beam is the only way to destroy the adds. If you do not have solar beam, destroy the adds, you will absolutely get killed the next time that he spawns adds. Because what happens is any adds that don't get killed by the solar beam, they get buffed and do way more damage, way more health. At the same time, he's going to spawn these orbs. I recommend grabbing 2 to 3 orbs, no more than 3. They do give you a DPS boost, healing boost. You also take a ticking damage every time you have one, and it stacks more and more. So right here, he's doing a beam. As you see, the adds are dead. You have to make sure the adds are dead for this beam to work, and then it drops a big pool on the ground. So you see, you don't want that in the middle of the group. Now you got to kind of want to tank that on the outside and then get the orbs. So, like I said, we lusted at the wrong time here. I recommend lusting after everybody gets their orbs here, because like I said, the orbs stack. They give you a 10% damage and healing buff for each orb you get, but also remember they stack on also the ticking damage that you're going to take as well. So if you take too many, you're gonna die. And at the same time, if the boss gets it, like he did right there, he gets an absorb shield and he does AoE damage. It is just bad. It's just brutal. It's so hard to heal through, especially early on. It's just pretty much gonna be a wipe. And then the ads, like I said, the ads will just absolutely overrun you and kill you. So main thing is here is try and tank them to the side. Get ready for the ads. When the ads come up, cleave them down as soon as possible. The tank needs to position the boss so that way the boss, when he turns to hit DPS or range or a healer, that they stand on the other side of where those ads are, so that beam hits those dead ads and kills those ads for good so they can't be respawned. And then you just grab the orbs and DPS the shit out of them. I highly recommend, once you get the orbs, that is when you pop Bloodlust, and everybody does an increased damage, and then you also have Lust there ready for the next time that he has the ads up, and you should be able to burn them. So I highly recommend doing it after the first orb fight. Once the first orbs come up, I highly recommend popping Bloodlust and then attacking them there. You have me and Hyde. Hyde's healing. I am tanking. So you can see both point of view. So hopefully this helps if you're either a tank or healer. And right there, probably could have tanked him a little bit better, so that way the ads were a little bit easier to see, because you do want to make sure that the ads are clearly easy to see where they are. And like I said, we even lusted a little late. We could have lusted a little sooner, so we had that damage, that DPS boost from having the orbs absorbed. Like I said, so right here then, we did have Hyde die there, but we battle res her, and then we're able to just get the groups up. And then here we just didn't even worry about ads. We just focus boss because it takes a little bit for them to come in, and we're able just to nuke them down here, and it was a GG. So hopefully this helps. If it does, please like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because I'm going to be having all the Mythic guides up here for all the Mythic dungeons to help you guys out. And also, come follow us over on Kick at Hyde&Jekyll for more, any questions that you have, or even to learn anything else that you might have any type of questions about, whether it's professions or the game itself. And join the community, because it's a lot of fun.